It's really awkward recording while you're in the car with me.
Do you want me to get out of the car?
Can you maybe get out of the car and then come back in when I'm done? Okay friends, hi. So I was invited to do a thrift flip challenge with a whole bunch of really talented makers, and there is a place that I pass every day to and from my commute to work that has furniture, and I've been wanting to go there, but it's never open, and today's open. And since my other half is with me, say hi. No. I am gonna torture him and make him go shopping with me so we can find a really cool piece of furniture for this thrift flip challenge. I'm pretty excited about this, and let's do this. Gently used furniture and so much more. This is the spot. He's already getting B-roll for me. I think I need to bring him along on more projects. Fully functioning, really awesome. A little old-fashioned for my taste, but it's definitely an option. Let's see what else is around. You're gonna write me a song for this video? Oh, let's go inside. Ooh, this is really cool. I can't do this with one hand. But it's cool as it is, and I don't want to flip it. It's basically a mini version of kind of what I'm looking for. I want somebody to find this and ask if you come with it. For 45 bucks? That's cheap. See you later. So this is a Murphy desk and it's dope, but I'm literally in the process of building one for the channel, you guys. So I don't think you guys want to see 2 Murphy desks, so we're gonna say no to this. What is that?
They made this for me.
So you sit at your desk chair and you pedal?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit on the couch and just crank it out.
It's kind of genius.
It's definitely something you could call it.
Yeah, but like look at this thing. Obviously it's on its side, but this is a drawer.
Oh.
I'm looking at this fine piece here and checking out all the records.
I'm looking at this fine piece right here. This is coming up.
But actually, I think I want this. I would take this drawer out and make it a shelf and add some legs. Wood, it looks like solid wood, so I could definitely restain it. I already have so many ideas. This drawer is intact, so it's gonna stay. This one's gonna go. Make some retro tapered legs for it. It's a winner, if I've ever seen one. Just found a gem. Love me some Beatles. This is coming home with us. So we're gonna play one round of, what's it called?
It's Trivial Pursuit Baby Boomer Edition.
We were definitely not alive for any of these questions. Let's try one, try me.
What 1936 quasi-documentary has been known as Tell Your Children, Doped Youth, and Love Madness?
Is this Reefer Madness?
Ding, ding, ding.
I got one right.
Baby Boomer Edition. Killing it.
Baby Boomer Edition. Okay, this is the winner. So it has this awesome drawer with all these really cool slats. This one is like whatever. I probably will take this out and make a shelf. Definitely solid wood, which makes me happy. So it just needs a sanding. And then some retro feet would look so cool on this. Yeah, happening. Found my piece. Okay, success. So for $40, we walked out of there with the side table dresser thing that I wanted, whole bunch of records, and then Chris, what did you get?
I got some records.
No, what did you get?
The Deluxe Pedal Exerciser.
That alone is like $40.
I'm gonna put this thing together tonight.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
You're hired and I can pay you in pizza. Woo! 10 pounds of pizza a week, I think I could handle that. Let's do this. Like I mentioned earlier, I partnered up for this thrift flip collaboration with a whole bunch of amazing makers to help raise some money for Habitat for Humanity this holiday season. What? It came with free mail. No way. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. So this charity event that we're doing in this thrift flip is for Habitat for Humanity, and I don't have a Habitat for Humanity restore in my area at all, so I just went to a local thrift shop, and inside of the thing I purchased was a Habitat for Humanity envelope. Like, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is. You cannot make this up. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Okay. So the reason I was so excited is because the goal for this collaboration was to upcycle a piece of furniture from a Habitat restore, but since I don't have one of those in my area, I did go to my local thrift shop, as you saw at the beginning of this video, and picked up this awesome piece. Now I'm gonna keep it real with you. The original plan was to find a piece of furniture and completely transform it into something brand new, but I ended up kind of falling in love with this piece and decided to just elevate its look instead. So this kind of borders on more of like a restoration project than a flip project, but we're here now, so let's do this. Now to get started, I sanded this thing down to its bare bones, and I did this by using a mix of my Dremel rotary tools that I got as part of Home Depot's Perspective program, as well as my orbital sander, and I even used a chisel to get rid of the old edge banding that was on this piece of furniture as well. I'm going to replace that later. And unlike my great-grandfather's record cabinet, which I restored on my channel a while back, most of this project was solid wood, so I was able to get a little more aggressive with the sanding process, and it worked beautifully. I pretty much started at 120 grit and then worked my way to 220 grit, and it looked gorgeous. At this point, I then decided to remove that bottom drawer permanently. I got rid of all of the drawer sliding mechanisms, and then I ended up calling it a day because I needed to source some lumber to match the rest of this build to make the legs and the shelf.
Are you here to help me?
Luckily, I was able to identify that the wood that this nightstand was made out of was oak, and I was able to find a couple of different variations of oak boards at my local Home Depot. And once I was stocked and ready to go, me and my helpers began to build the bottom shelf. Just kidding, let's be real, my helpers are adorable, but they don't really do any of the helping at all. But anyway, as you can see, this bottom shelf wasn't a bottom shelf. There was actually a small dip or a cavity in the bottom of this nightstand, and that's because there used to be drawer slides under here that I removed. So I decided to put some spacers in there that I applied using some adhesive and some scrap wood that I had laying around my shop, just to elevate that shelf to bring it level with the rest of the nightstand. And once that had set, I then used some 1/4 inch oak boards to create the actual shelf itself. And since the front boards are the most visible, I decided to start there, and I used my jigsaw to notch out a couple of areas that would then hug those corners of the nightstand. And once they fit snugly, I then was able to work my way back from there and to install the rest of the boards using adhesive and using some pin nails. Since I started from the front and then worked my way towards the back and then up the back of the nightstand, there were a couple of pieces that I did have to kind of trim or cut to size, and I did this using my table saw and my miter saw, but in the end everything fit really beautifully and it looked pretty seamless when it was done, and I was actually pretty proud of this little shelf. Once I was done building the shelf, I decided that it was time to move on to creating a base or some legs for this piece. I just felt like it needed to be elevated off of the ground. So to do this, I cut some 2x2 oak pieces into some frame pieces as well as some leg pieces, and then I took all of those frame pieces and drilled pocket holes into the ends in order to help create the frame. Now, a base like this can be made with dowels or with brackets that can be screwed together, but for me, I just use pocket holes because this is a super quick and efficient method that I have readily available in my workshop. And once all the pocket holes were drilled, it was then time to connect them to the legs, and I did this using some wood glue as well as some pocket hole screws meant for hardwoods. I originally wanted to taper these legs, but after seeing the taper idea against that beautiful symmetric front drawer, I just decided to keep the legs square, and I'm actually really happy that I did that. The only thing I didn't love about this base was that it felt so boxy, and all of the edges on the entire nightstand had this really nice round over, so I decided to do the same exact thing to this base. I used my router to just give it a little round over, and it definitely made a huge difference. Now, while the shelf and the base were looking awesome and were pretty straightforward, attaching this thing to the bottom, not very straightforward. So this thing needed a little love. It had a couple of different pegs and staples and things that needed to be removed. So I used my chisel and my pliers to just take out all of the excess stuff and to make it as flush as possible before then attaching the base to the bottom of the nightstand. And even though I really like this base, I did want the option to at some point be able to remove it or replace it in case I get sick of the look, or let's be real, in case my brother gets sick of the look because he's already called dibs on this nightstand. But anyway, I ended up attaching it by countersinking some holes using my drill and then using some wood screws and drilling them directly into the nightstand base. But once I was happy with the placement of the legs, it was then time to move on to some finishing touches. Before I could move on to staining or final sanding though, I did have to reapply the edge banding that I removed from the nightstand, and I was actually able to find oak edge banding at my local Home Depot, which was awesome. So I applied that using my iron and then trimmed that down to size before sanding the entire piece to about 320 grit. So when it came time to staining this piece, I wanted to go with a color that was lighter than the original piece, but not too yellow or orange, because red oak can have a tendency to kind of fall a little bit in that hue, especially if you're not using something with bluer or grayer undertones. So after applying one coat, I did have to step away for a little bit just to make sure that I liked it. Spoiler alert, I didn't like it. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I don't like this color one bit. So I clearly wasn't stoked on the color. It was a little too red for my taste, so I decided to use something that had more of a green hue to just neutralize the color altogether and give it more of a tan looking undertone, and that worked beautifully. And not only did it work beautifully, it made the grain in this oak pop so nicely. So I basically finished the entire piece in this color, gave it a couple of coats of polyurethane, and we were good to go. I am so honored to have been chosen to join an amazing group of makers to raise awareness and to raise funding for Habitat for Humanity through this thrift shop project. And while my project was more of restoration than it was an actual flip, I definitely encourage you to check out all of these other makers' amazing thrift flip projects because they are insanity. I have linked to the playlist with all of their projects below this video, and I've also linked to a donation button for Habitat for Humanity so that we can all work together to help make somebody's holiday a lot better. I do hope that you will take some time to check out their mission and help us raise some money for a great cause this holiday season. And in the meantime, thank you as always for supporting what I do, for checking out my projects, and for being awesome. But until the next project, friends, happy DIYing.
What?
Have you decided if it was worth the $4 yet?
It broke once already, but luckily I'm a professional bicycle mechanic. You see a bank stole and I borrowed. Yeah.